Hello everyone! Welcome to GameBCN 6th Demo Day. My name is Gina Tost and I will be hosting this event. Here, 5 indie development teams will present the games they have been working during the last 6 months. As a gamer and as a professional, I have been following GameBCN since its foundation. But if you don't know what the hell it is, please watch this. Great, right? Amazing opportunity to work in the gaming industry and know more about outstanding future games. Please feel free to leave any question you may have in the chat so our staff or teams can answer them. And also you can tweet with the hashtag GameBCNDemoDay and start a conversation with everyone worldwide watching this. Share your thoughts. We will love hearing from you. Now, let me introduce you to Oscar Saún, GameBCN Program Manager, who will explain better how they can help you make your dream come true. Oscar, how are you?
I'm super glad to be one more year here, Gina. Thank you very much. And above all, I'm happy to be able to explain developers how we can help them. So GameBCN is an incubation program based in Barcelona, although we work completely online. We are promoted by the Catalan government, Barcelona municipality, and consultancy firm Peninsula. And we also have 4 industry partners: Marvelous, Social Point, Now to Play Game, and Gameloft. And of course, we count too with the support of Wacom, Tangram Solutions, and Photon. The program runs once a year for 7 months, from late February until late September. What we look for talented and committed teams willing to create a video game studio, and also that are developing a video game with an identified market potential, meaning that the game should be special somehow. The art, the narrative, innovative mechanics. We accept all platforms and all genres, and we have just one minimum requirement: to have at least a functional prototype. At the beginning of the program, we do a technical audit with each team to understand which are their strongest points and their weakest points. This way, we can adapt, we can customize the program content to each team needs, and this is something that makes us special. Also, at the beginning of the program, we agree with each team which are going to be their production goals. This way, we can help them and give them support to achieve these objectives. We mainly do training and mentoring sessions, all by industry professionals. We have a huge ecosystem here in Barcelona with Social Point, Gameloft, Ubisoft, King, and all these companies are just sending professionals to help our teams. The training sessions are focused on 2 areas, production and business and marketing, which are the 2 subject fields by indie developers. And at the beginning of the program, we assign a mentor to each team to do a monthly review and follow-up of their game. Also, we do support weekly production follow-up, so helping the teams to understand the importance of performing efficiently and how to achieve their production milestones. We organize masterclasses and lectures in a monthly basis to promote networking. We organize a demo day where the teams pitch their games in front of a network of publishers and investors. And we also attend to international events such as Gamescom or Tokyo Game Show to give visibility to the teams, because our last goal is helping the teams get funds and a publisher deal. There is a huge network of publishers willing to receive GameBCN portfolio at the end of every batch because they have realized that there is a lot of talent coming out from our program. Some awesome games that have come out from GameBCN are Origami, that sold more than 500,000 copies, Stay, that sold more than 100,000 copies and won different narrative awards, Endlink, which is come out in October and it's generating a huge hype. And just some metrics, we have already done 6 editions of the program, we have helped 37 teams, half of them has signed publishing agreements, and they have raised 2.5 million euros. And good news, we have expanded. Together with Marvelous, we have started the incubation program in Japan, helping 5 teams there from June. Same proven model that we have here, we just exported there in Japan. And that's all from my side. Gina.
Thanks, Oscar. Good job, great explanation. As you can see here, there are big companies behind this, as well as a lot of publishers looking for good games. I'm also looking for good games because, I like to play, I'm a gamer. But I won't be alone. A panel of experts will share their knowledge with us here. Let's meet them. Hello, everyone.
Hello, my name is Maria Lujano Ulton, and I'm a video games curator. I have been running the exhibition Game On, El Arte en Juego for over 10 years now in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I'm also the co-founder from Gaia, Games Art International Assembly. I'm also the co-editor of the Game Study Journal from the University of Palermo.
Hello everybody, my name is Roger Cusco and I work as a product manager at Social Point. At the moment I'm working in Monster Legends, which is one of our top grossing titles. And my job is to bring about new features to engage our players and improve the performance of the game.
Hello everyone, I'm Albert Garcia and I'm a video game journalist since the last 20 years and I also a video games teacher here in NTBCN.
So, without hesitation, let's dive into games, shall we? First game is DC1AB. They are presenting Dominus, a strategy game that says that when the battle is over, the war has just begun. They combine PC and mobile crossplay. You can play solo or up to 7 players, and there's a big opportunity here for monetization. They are a very unique team with lots of experience in gaming industry with big titles. You'll love it.
Hey everyone, at DC1AB we're making the next generation of turn-based strategies. That means PC and mobile fully crossplay experiences, accessible FTUE and multiplayer. We believe there is a massive opportunity in turn-based games right now. Classics like Civ still have a massive and captive audience, but have failed to adapt to the times. This is where the next generation of games like Polytopia and Hexonia come in. They've taken that one more turn core experience and distilled it into something much more manageable for the modern audiences. What we want to do is learn from these games and apply to them industry standard practices from games like Clash of Clans, Clash Royale and Minion Masters. Which means first of all opening the game up to a much larger audience by focusing on accessible FTUE and taking some of that complexity from the early stages of the game and spreading it out through the mid-core meta. Finally, we really want to focus on multiplayer, both asynchronous multiplayer, so think of it as like Clash of Clans style raiding, as well as synchronous multiplayer, think of it as Clash Royale. So the game is based around, first of all, this Clash of Clans style meta, where you upgrade your base, you research new technologies, research new troops, discover new abilities, and this is how the monetization ties in. But on top of it, we also added an element of the world of tanks, which means having a subscription-based economy that also balances the game out a little bit more for competitive gameplay. Dominus is spread into 3 main parts. So the first one is familiar to anybody who played Civ or Polytopia, colonization. You're playing against the AI, starting off on a clean island, and essentially increasing your civilization to the max as you're knocking out all the opponents. Now, unlike Civilization and Polytopia, where at this point the game would end and you would just need to start a new battle, in our game, the game has just really begun, because that territory is then added to your empire and continues to generate the offline currency that then feeds into the wider economy and the meta. At the same time, these territories then become open to other players to attack. which is where the asynchronous PvP comes in, because the way that you've set up the base and whether you focused on the economy or defense will really have an impact on how easy it is to attack and raid your base. And then finally, when you get tired of playing against the AI, this is when the synchronous PvP comes in, both in the form of co-op as well as standard PvP with up to 10 players. Now, in traditional turn-based games, this isn't really possible because you have to wait for all the other players to finish their turns, which makes the games really painful. So what we have developed is a unique system which is somewhere between simultaneous and classical turn-based. So all the players make their moves at the same time. When they hit end turn, the game resolves for every player, so all the characters move around, and if the characters land on the same or adjacent square, some interaction happens, depending on what sort of characteristics they have. Now, aside from making multiplayer possible, this adds this awesome level of depth and strategy that isn't really common in turn-based games, which makes it a little bit more like poker, because finally you can bluff, you can set up ambushes, and we think that makes the game really fun to watch, which is fantastic for the modern streaming needs. So the game currently looks a little bit like this. This is actually a trailer from the prototype that we released last year, which had about 1 day's worth of content, but still managed to get pretty decent traction. So we've improved the graphics dramatically since then, and you'll be able to see it in the build. So last year we got about 1,500 users from Facebook and Android, which resulted in fairly decent metrics, and most impressively for us, we had day 60 and day 90 retention, which meant that players were getting their friends and basically playing the multiplayer games because there was no content at all and not enough concurrent user base for random matchmaking. So right now we're aiming to launch the second beta version, which has about 60 days worth of content as well as monetization in September 2021, shooting for the full release in February 2022. Now a little bit about the team. So we've all known each other for probably 7 years, making little games here and there. So our CTO, COO, and our creative lead, they come from Creative Mobile's team and build drag racing for Creative Mobile. Myself, I come from the publishing and marketing world, working at companies like BlueStacks and Tap for Fun, and launching Lords Mobile for IDG. And our metagame designer has worked on a lot of sort of Clash of Clans derivative style games. Some of them, like Battle for the Galaxy, still make decent amounts of money even to this day. So this is not our first rodeo. We've made a couple of titles in the past, but really about 3 years ago when we made a prototype for Dominus, we really decided to sort of drop our day jobs and focus on this full time. So right now we're 11 people, we're fully remote, and we're looking for financing, both in terms of project financing and equity financing. We're hoping to get some new traction from this build that comes out in October and start fundraising in November, aiming to wrap it up by Q2 or Q1 2022. Thank you very much.
Hey, what did I tell you? This is a great opportunity. Not their first rodeo indeed. Let's see if the experts have any questions for you.
Congratulations for Dominus. I think that the simultaneous turn-based system is a very good idea in terms of game design. Okay, first question, in terms of this sector, this market of strategy genre, especially in mobile, I think it's very saturated. What is your plan to attract both mid-core gamers and also hardcore gamers? And the second question, regarding the launch of the game, what is your plan beyond the full release of the game in February 22?
Yeah, that's something we've been thinking about for quite a while. So first of all, I think the dual platform setup of the game really bodes well for sort of focusing on different markets, both in terms of the store presentation as well as the creatives and, like reaching out to different sort of influencers or marketing channels. So on the PC side of things, we will obviously appeal to a much more hardcore audience, and I think our focus will be on providing some of those things that are missing, for players of Civ, which is potentially shorter experiences, focus on multiplayer and focus on this large, persistent world that you can live in for, forever. On the mobile side of things, we're hoping to attract obviously the more casual mid-core users that are either transitioning, from more mid-core titles or games like Polytopia or Hexonia, and even opening up to a wider genre of players that want, this kind of big empire, persistent experience, which a lot of the games advertise, but most fail to deliver. And we obviously come from the marketing world, so I think the way that our campaigns will run will come in sort of ebbs and flows. So when we're appealing to the hardcore players, we will optimize the campaigns, the screenshots, the icons, and the story to those kind of players. And when we're focusing more on the casual and mid-core side of things, we will then re-optimize our presentation. We do have a project roadmap that goes way, way beyond. I could go into a bit of detail, but in the end, what we're really focusing on is more of the social experiences. So once we've polished everything, rebalanced and made sure that the parameters work and the game makes money, we really want to focus on expanding the content and providing, a couple of years worth of depth, and then focusing on the social side. So think of it as, not just PvP, but clan on clan, server on server, country-based experiences, and again, moving into the sport side of things, assuming we can provide a more balanced gameplay.
Great, Eugene. The game looks really polished and really neat. Now, thinking forward and thinking in 5 years' time, how do you picture the evolution of the game, the evolution of the core game, of the experience, and which will be the role of the player's audience in that evolution?
We're absolutely thinking about Dominus as something that's going to stick around, for definitely more than, 2 or 3, hopefully 5 or even 10 years. Because these style of games, they inherently have a very long retention curve, and we've already seen that even with our prototypes. So really our focus will be, after we've done all the sort of content that we can, is focusing on the social side of things. So making sure that the game is really like a place that you can go and gather with your friends, kind of like League of Legends, and basically you can co-op together with your group of like 10 guys against some other guys, and setting up kind of rivalries, and then having deeper experiences in terms of, not just having PvP, but again, focusing on the clan on clan, server on server, even country on country. And our kind of empire acing system really beautifully allows for that. So for example, we can pair like 2 weaker clans to go against 1 bigger clan as long as their ELO matches up. And, that then also bodes well for the kind of esports future that we foresee for this title, assuming everything works well.
Okay, first of all, thank you very much for the pitch. I think that what you're trying to do is very difficult. Adapting Civilization and adapting for turn-based strategy games for mobile and for free-to-play, it's a very challenging design task. You've mentioned the challenge of adapting session length, which is a big one, but perhaps the biggest one of all is the challenge of introducing meta progression. Why? Because the fun part of Civilization type games is the progression that happens during the battle. No? Every time you start from scratch, and it's a fresh experience, and there's a lot of progression during the battle. How are you planning to introduce meta progression without spoiling the fun in the gameplay?
That's an absolutely critical point, and what we're definitely not doing is removing this cumulative progression critical to the real fun Civ experience. The only thing we're doing is, you can think of it as, for example, your technological ceiling. So let's say, when you're playing the first few games, like your technological ceiling is here, but then as your meta expands, you will find your technological ceiling gradually increasing, and you're able to research new technologies, new units, and we really feel that that's not going to be a problem for new players, just because the sort of simultaneous turn nature and some other elements in the game are a little bit fresh, and I think will provide something interesting even for an experienced turn-based or Civ head to do. And at the same time, we feel that this will really help to open up the genre to a much larger audience that is traditionally a little bit scared of these kind of games, because at least you will not be overwhelmed with having this like infinite tech tree where you don't know what to do. So we're really trying to set up a balance between what you get right in the beginning and making sure that both of the groups of players are satisfied. And I think we have achieved that. So we have guys that played like 10-15,000 hours of Civ that are happily jumping in the gameplay and figuring out how the game works, and then playing it against somebody that comes out of Clash of Clans or Polytopia. So we're quite confident that we found this healthy middle ground.
Thanks for your contributions. Next team, Ground. is a small studio from Barcelona with only 2 members. They have been working on a unique narrative time-driven escape adventure, The Time I Have Left. If you look at the title thoroughly, you will feel the soul of a really unique RPG adventure. Let's meet them.
Hi everyone, my name is Elias and I'm a programmer and designer at Ground. In 6 hours, you will be dead. It is fated to be. Even so, is there anything you would like to do before the end? This is the premise from The Time I Have Left, a time-driven escape adventure with light RPG elements. A woman with only 6 hours of life remaining searches for a way out of an underground city. We will follow her time-driven escape adventure, explore and uncover the secrets of a desolate complex, and face grotesque visions of death in a turn-based combat system with an active twist. Our game has 3 core pillars: narrative, exploration, and combat. Exploration takes place in third person using fixed and on-rail cameras, allowing us to create expansive environments without requiring a large amount of assets. It also lets us showcase one of our most striking features, our unique visual style. At certain points, the view shifts into a first-person point-and-click camera to allow the detailed inspection of smaller areas. The clues you get by exploring unlock different story segments, which, in turn, progresses you towards gaining new skills in combat. Our turn-based combat system is a unique blend of reactive dodging and strategic thinking. Combat is designed to complement the narrative and pacing, and it's also a great entry point for people unfamiliar with RPGs. We aim for a mature audience, video game enthusiasts and indie game lovers, players with an open mind willing to try genre blends and unique takes on classic formulas. We are inspired by games of the past, but we're not here to create one. Instead, we aim to make a unique modern mix that can evoke nostalgia on the right players, but at the end of the day, it's its own thing. We have identified third-person narrative adventure games as our main competitors. The sample is vast, with a lot of great looking titles of varying budgets. But, more specifically, we are targeting unique-looking mid-range indie games that add a twist to their gameplay formula, by adding combat or some kind of mixing genres. Also, even though we are not a horror game, our design has a lot in common with them, and part of their target audience will overlap. State of Mind, the recent The Medium, small games like Rocky, or something as mainstream as Life is Strange are possible examples. We are merely a 2-man team for the time being, but we are looking to expand in the near future. We also have the support of an external team of freelance professionals that have helped us shape the world of our game up until this point. GT is the creative lead behind the project. He has a professional background in graphic design and animation with over 10 years worth of experience. I'm a game developer and computer scientist with experience creating and shipping commercial video games. Here's our current roadmap from now to release. We plan to expand our core team and start full development this November and release the PC version by summer 2023. We also plan on supporting the game after release. We're aiming to create a special experience that can resonate with our audience on a visual, playable, and narrative levels. So I ask you, what will you do with the time you have left?
This is my jam, an indie game with a good story. What our panel of experts thinking?
Great work, Gite. I'm really intrigued about the outcome of this game. Now, in the pitch, you mentioned that you have been strongly inspired by certain indie titles, and I'm wondering what makes The Time I Have Left really unique. You stress out the crossing of genres, and that makes me wonder also that you're running through a really fine line, and you run the risk of not being any of them. So how will you handle that? And another thing is that it gave me the impression that the protagonist is going through a kind of a psychiatric disorder. Is that true? Do you have any doctors, any psychologists in the team? Are you working with anyone that has been through that experience?
So our main references are mostly classic adventure games and RPGs. We deconstruct what we love about those games and rebuild it using a modern approach. We are not doing a homage to specific titles, we are instead trying to capture the essence of a certain time period. We have studied the games that we love to separate what works and what doesn't. Most modern games are a blend of genres. You have RPG elements in your action games, platforming in third-person shooters, and of course a little bit of adventure in most single-player games. Most of those blends are proven formulas that we know work well. We are aiming to blend some aspects of RPGs into the adventure genre, and as you say, there are many risks attached to that. But at the same time, there's the opportunity to stand out if done well. We have a clear focus on delivering a unique take on the adventure genre, and every aspect of the game is designed and built around that premise. Regarding our protagonist, I can give a clear answer without entering into spoiler territory, but we are putting a lot of care, effort and research into all of the narrative aspects of the game.
Cool, thanks for the answer.
Thank you for the pitch. It's a very interesting premise that you have with the time I have left. It's a game that looks really nice. It has a really promising and interesting look and vibe going on. If I saw an ad of this game, I will most probably click on it and probably download it. So no problems from this point of view. What I'm wondering is, the challenge with a lot of these games is they look really good, then you download it, and maybe they don't deliver on that fun that they promised in the video ad. They are not as fun as they look. So my question for you is, which part of the game do you think that will wow your players and will make them really fall in love with the game and recommend it with to each other, which is what you ultimately want for this game to be successful?
So we believe that if the different elements of the whole are well balanced and play into the overall experience, a game can be more than the sum of its parts. In our case, we believe the game flow has to be spot on, and that's a difficult task to achieve. We have to get the balance of the core pillars right, how the story is delivered and how all the systems play into the big picture so that everything flows the intended way. If any of those parts overstays its welcome or it's not appealing enough, the whole package will suffer from it. So more than getting right one part of the gameplay over the other, everything has to be cohesive and work towards the goal of delivering a great narrative experience.
Sounds good, thank you.
Congratulations, the game looks fantastic. In first place, how will the game penalize those players who don't overcome the adventure in the 6-hour limitation they have? Do you have in mind that for many players this kind of limit time mechanic is very frustrating? Do you have this in mind? And also, your game combines different genres, exploration, turn-based combat, graphic adventure. These genres have different pacings. How will the game will mix all those different pacings to achieve a good balance between all those elements?
The 6 hours time limit is mainly narrative. The game is split into smaller levels with shorter time limits that go from 10 minutes to an hour long. Objectives are different depending on the level, and the time limit is set according to that. You can also save your progress in special rooms scattered around the levels. From level to level, the time is narratively rebalanced, so no matter if you finished level 1 in 20 minutes or in an hour, level 2 will start with 5 hours remaining in both cases. We aim to have a focus on exploration under a time limit, but we don't want our audience to stay under constant pressure. So during combat and while reading story fragments, time flows 10 times slower than normal. You will have to discover why by unraveling the story, but gameplay-wise, this small change frees 2 of the central gameplay phases of the constant pressure of time. By using these different elements that demand very different things from the player in a well-balanced way, we aim to constantly compensate for the weaknesses of one gameplay phase with the strengths of the next to keep the experience engaging. For example, by reducing the time limit pressure when reading the story, or pumping up the action with combat when the exploration phase has been going for too long. Thank you for your questions.
Thanks.
Thanks, experts. And now it's time for the next team. Gravity Oddity is the kind of game you see featured on Twitch, created by a small indie game studio. You should remember their name, Invincible Cat, a roguelike action shooter with a unique game mechanics and a sick combat system. Put your gravity boots and let's meet them.
Imagine how epic it would be to raid spaceships and blast troopers while dashing on walls and teleporting on ceilings. Well, that's Gravity Oddity. a roguelike action shooter taking you on a space adventure across a universe where gravity vanished. Because images are always better than a long speech, please enjoy the reveal trailer. As you might have noticed, in Gravity Oddity, gravity is gone, which brings the core of the unique movement system. You are equipped with gravity boots, a teleport gun and a jetpack that grants you the ability to move freely in the environment. It creates verticality for interesting and remarkable combat situations. Mods are the heart of all the game systems. They represent the main goal, loot mods to progress in the game. They give a sense of progression and a meaning for you to keep playing as you will unlock more mods. They are used as currency that can be traded for resources such as extra heart containers, weapon upgrades, or even to open special doors. Finally, they can be equipped to grant you special skills that can be stacked to create mad synergies. Mods also challenge players to find the best approach. Here are two examples of how to handle the same situation. We are trying to take down this trooper protected by a shield. On the left, we equip a mod that destroys enemies' shields. We can destroy the shield and then defeat the trooper while keeping our distance. On the right, we equip a mod that creates a stun wave and teleport. Our best option is to try a more frontal approach. We teleport right next to the enemy to stun him, and then we have time to safely take him down. Adapting your playstyle depending on your equipment provides depth, diversity, and replayability. I conducted a market analysis on Steam, for which the details are available upon request, but in a nutshell, it shows that it is a lucrative market that is not saturated, with a strong presence on consoles and which is popular among players. I'm currently in production, aiming for a July-August 2022 release. Gravity Oddity will be available on PC and consoles, including PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and Nintendo Switch, for a price point between €12.99 and €14.99. And the current estimated budget is around €110,000, with around €80,000 remaining. As for me, I'm Timothy Verrouille. I have more than 9 years of experience in the industry, and I've been fully in this since late 2017. I've already released a game with Invincible called Guild Battle Arena for PC and consoles. I gained experience in console development, for which I have the licenses, and I also gained experience in releasing a commercial game simultaneously on all the current-gen platforms. Now, how do we make Gravity Oddity a success? I'm looking for the right publisher to bring Gravity Oddity to its full potential. I especially need help in marketing and social media. Ideally, Gravity Oddity will be part of a coherent portfolio to take advantage of the existing publishers' community. I value a partner with experience in publishing on PC and consoles, and with a strong relationship with platform holders. I'm also interested in a publisher with the capacity to provide regular QA and playtests. Finally, I would like to discuss the possibility of getting funded what is remaining to finish the game, which is around €80,000. Thank you for your time. Here is my contact information. If you want to explore further what Gravity Oddity has to offer, contact me to get your hands on a playable build. With a novel movement system, combined with slick combats, I'm convinced Gravity Oddity will stand out. I look forward to finding the right partner so together we can turn Gravity Oddity into a financial success.
I'm so happy this game is here at GameBCN because you can see it's going places. What do you experts think about it?
Okay, very interesting game you have going on with Gravity Oddity, a very interesting roguelike. My question here is, there are many roguelikes in the market already. It's almost like a hot space. There are lots of platformer roguelikes, a lot of shooter roguelikes. My question is, imagine that I'm a player that enjoys Rogue Legacy, Enter the Gungeon, whatever, these type of games. How would you convince me to download this game? Or put it in another way, what's the unique selling point of the game that will make it worth it for roguelike lovers to download and play Gravity Oddity?
Thank you, and you make an excellent point. There are indeed a lot of roguelike platformers and roguelike shooters. However, only a few of them combine both genres like Gravity Oddity. As for the unique selling point, it has to be the novel movement system. It allows for the level design to fully exploit verticality, which generates remarkable combat situations.
Congratulations, I really like the combination of mechanics, and I think it has a lot of possibilities in terms of gameplay. My question is that I think that in your game, dodging all the bullets can be truly epic. Have you think in the possibility of introducing a replay system? I think this mechanic could allow players to share their experience in the game, and this will help the game to arrive to more people.
Thank you, and that's a great idea. The combination of those mechanics definitely creates epic moments. A replay system will be a great tool to share those moments with your friends. I will look into adding this into Gravity Oddity.
Cool game, team. The game looks both challenging and innovative. And wondering precisely on that things, are you planning on applying to any experimental calls and festivals like GDC Experimental Gameplay or Amaze Festival, like exploiting further the experimental factor of the game? And in relation to that, how about exploiting also the difficulty of the game? Are you really aiming or thinking of aiming to the kind of audience of gamers that like that kind of challenge?
Thank you. I'm not familiar with the experimental scene, but I will look for more information about it. As for the challenging aspect of the game, I definitely want to include players seeking for difficult challenges. There will be a new game plus of sorts, which will add some rule modifiers to spice things up.
Mansion Games is an indie development game studio from Palma de Mallorca. They are currently developing Operation Highjump, The Fall of Berlin, an action-adventure game that mixes several genres. It's a tribute to the classic games of the 80s, an ambitious team with a big project on their hands.
Hello there, my name is Victor Fernandez, CEO and game designer from Mansion Games. We are very happy to be here and presenting our first baby, Operation Highjump, The Fall of Berlin, a tribute to the unsung heroes of the World War II. We all remember the famous battles like Stalingrad, the invasion of Normandy, but we often forget that ordinary people like us who fought for freedom through the European resistance to shorten the war and save many lives. I would like to show you a video about our game. But let's talk about Operation Highjump, The Fall of Berlin. That's the special cover made by Alfonso Azpiri, Master Cover Design. Our product will delight nostalgic gamers, our target. Moreover, retro is in fashion and is increasingly attracting the attention of young people. So we will reach them thanks to the improvements of new technologies. We can talk about Operation Highjump like when Metal Slug team up with Lost Vikings, Commando and Indiana Jones classics, a mix between arcade, action, puzzle, strategy and World War II missions. Our business model, the Heart of Mansion, is based on a transmedia model. From a video game, we extend our universe to the other media like publishing, merchandising, and audiovisual and collector's edition through the crowdfunding campaigns. Maybe you will see us someday on Netflix, I hope. April 1945. The Third Reich is about to be defeated by the Allies and the OSS sent its best man, our main character, on a suicide mission with his command dog Ox of War. Goal: eliminate the leaders of the fallen empire before they flee from the justice. Steal secret files about technology advancements before the Red Army arrives. And settle accounts with truth, talk everything from him. Our hallmarks are a powerful story and a cinematic narrative, an emotional and epic soundtrack, 2D shooter platforms, tactical and video adventure mechanisms, fusion between illustration for environments and pixel art animations, extreme care for the artwork, and Operation Highjump is based on the histories, weapons, and real scenes of the World War II over 6 stages. Operation Highjump, The Fall of Berlin is made up of 6 levels. The Abbey, the Berlin City, the Underground, a walk on the rooftops, the Remagen Bridge, and the castle. This is a Joseph Kowalski, our main character, a Polish farmer whose family is taken away from him in the extermination camps, and one of his allies, Irina Pavlichenko, a sniper of the Red Army. We have another alias like Captain Hamilton with his Lady Hell heavy bomber and Colonel Alistair Barnaby. And that's concept of some our brutal bosses and vehicles. This one was a real type of fighter aircraft designed by the Nazis in a real life that were never manufactured, thanks to good. The Gargoyle, a medieval ghost knight, an example of an armored vehicle. I think a picture is better than 1,000 words, so let me show you some screenshots from Remagen Beach, the castle, a walk on the rooftops, and Berlin City. Our team is multidisciplinary ambitions and is ready to overcome any challenge. It combines the experience of veteran developers in the industry and the energy of young people who have just been trained. We have the mentoring of entities with great experience like Emprembit, Lanzadera, PlayStation Talents, and GameBCN programs. These programs allow to improve our products, every aspect of the product and the studio itself, thanks to the mentoring of real professionals of the video games and startups industry. In addition, we have been supported by powerful allies like Alfonso Azpiri, the legendary illustrator of video games covers of the 80s in Spain, Chris Hulbeck, music composer who has worked with LucasArts, Factor 5 and Team 17 Studios, and Valentia Concha, our campaign manager with more than 14 million of euros raised in the previous campaigns. Our traction in just 2 years, we have achieved many milestones, like being the first Mallorca company to enter up the PlayStation's program, and now we have signed GameBCN and Lanzadera programs. We have won several national awards and have secured a distribution agreement with a publisher for Operation Highjump, The Fall of Berlin, and the next game of the studio. This is our roadmap with the great milestone: complete the game development between this year and the first Q1 of the next year and release the second quarter. Our next challenge, a pre-launch campaign on Kickstarter, the largest platform for spreading projects with exclusive rewards and lot of goodies. We are looking for a partner for the USA and Asia that can help us with investment, localization, advice marketing, QA, porting, and development kits. Since we started, many entities have bid on us, like Meridian Games, publisher, by Europe, Australia, and Southeast Asia physical and digital distribution game. GTM, one of the most important multimedia content magazines in Spain. DreamHack, the biggest video games event. We have a good relations with industry media and a community around the game in continuous growth. And this is the end. This is not only about video games. It's about people and retention of talent, about making a contribution to the strength the industry from Spain and the world with handmade and emotional games. Thank you very much for your attention.
I like that people from an island like Mallorca are now creating games from their home instead of going to the usual cities like Barcelona. Technology can overcome any barrier, and this seems like a great project. What do our experts think?
Thanks, Victor. Sounds like a really cool project. Now, in your pitch, you mentioned the idea of working with a transmedia proposal, but when you describe it, it sounds more like a branding strategy. So I'm wondering if you are already working on that, or is it like a second stage for the project? And in that case, just a reminder that you'd better start thinking of a transmedia idea from the beginning of the project. Also, the game is really inspired in a nostalgic feeling and in the classics, in the theme, in the format, and that's really nice, and I'm sure there's a lot of people interested in that. But also, there are a lot of the games like that. So, what do you think about making a strong difference? For instance, thinking on an activist twist like a Speck of the Lines, or maybe working on another kind of twist in activism or satire games and train a new audience.
Operation Highjump script was written as a narrative story formed by different chapters that tell a mission in each of them. Starting from the video game, our universe and its characters have the necessary depth to be developed through different formats and ways, making a transmedia model possible. Operation Highjump proposal values are focused on its start from an epic story. We mix different styles and we get the most iconic elements of each of them, and we get something a little bit new, but we maintain the classic essence. All of that is packed with a lot of care for artistic and sound sections.
Right, thanks, Victor.
Congratulations, Operation Highjump brings me good memories from classic video games. In first place, from the game design perspective, the pacing of arcade games, puzzle games, strategy games is very different. What is your plan to mix all those different rhythms so that the game balance is well done? And also, your game has a lot of elements that maybe the most veteran players will appreciate. For example, the Alfonso Azpiri covers is amazing. But what is your plan to make that the younger audiences will know and attract to these younger audiences that maybe didn't know these old gaming classic references?
Thanks, Albert. Operation Highjump was always based on the run and gun base, influenced by the classics, but it has also been boosted with another layer of depth that turns into a fusion of various genres, offering the player a more elaborated experience. It's an honor for us that Alfonso Azpiri was interested in the project and that he personally involved himself into the game. Operation Highjump combines the best of both worlds. It's a tribute to the classic golden age with modern technology, updating the genre and making it more interesting and accessible to the new generation.
Thanks.
I liked several things about your pitch. I like the World War II lore. I like the fact that you have a clear target audience in mind. And I like the fact that you are even thinking about building an IP around this game. But I'm wondering, have you done any sort of test, or have you any indication that there's a big enough market for this type of game, which is potentially a little bit niche, World War II theme with 2D shooter gameplay? And if you succeed, and there's actually a big market for it, have you thought about also going into free-to-play and mobile, to exploit the fact that you have a big audience and make the IP bigger?
We are big fans of these classics and thematics, and this helped us take our first steps on the right track. Currently, there's a great interest in the old classics or in new games that try to date old concepts with games like Trine, Blasphemous, that are reaching the market in PC, Nintendo or PlayStation, which are having a good reception. All of this marks a mix of 2D style and with old school days that's a lot of nostalgic players and new generation will enjoy and love. Our short medium-term plans are focused on finish Operation Highjump: The Fall of Berlin for PC and consoles, but who knows, we don't discard any format in the future.
Very interesting, thank you.
Thank you, experts. And now, our final team is Viral Studios, an indie team from Badajoz. They present Lethal Honor Essence, a brutal and punishing action-adventure with a dark atmosphere and gothic novel art game. Hey, this is not their first game. Viral Studios has developed over 12 different games in their 5 years as a company. Let's meet them.
Hello, my name is Carlos Rubiales and I am the game director of Lethal Honor Essence. Prepare to discover the truth. Welcome to Lethal Honor.
We are mere shadows.
Lethal Honor Essence is a brutal, obscure and punishing action-adventure with a dark atmosphere and hand-drawn gothic novel art. The player will be an agent of Lethal Honor, a secret agency in charge of finding, studying and destroying the paranormal files of the governments of the world. We have a mature, dark story to tell, in which the narrative and the profession are seamlessly integrated into an action roguelike gameplay. Every agent's life has a meaning, and every death counts. The story will be told through comics. Every run is a new issue of a comic book series, in which the player will unveil new secrets to move forward in the story. We are mere shadows.
We are not heroes. But we are not alone.
The game will have 3 different sections. Before the run, the player will visit the Hub or Awakening Room, in which Aida, the main character, will talk to the other allies and set the next run's starting point. Then we have the runs, in which we alternate between the strategy map and the challenging and punishing battles. The game's genre, narration and playstyle are similar to other games. We have a lot in common with Children of Morta, with 1 million copies sold, because of our shared love for a story-focused narration. Or Hades from Supergiant Games, which sold over 5 million copies and over $80 million in revenue. But what makes us unique? Each run will be a new issue of a comic book series, in which the player will unlock new events, progression and secondary content. We bring a brand new approach to roguelites. We have 2 types of runs. The Lost Agent runs with randomized content and free will and normal roguelite gameplay, and Core Agent runs, in which we have a scripted story more focused on narration, comic books and special events, to make the player feel more immersed in the story. The game has been a success even from the beginning. After only 3 months into development, we launched a successful Kickstarter campaign and we achieved 150% of our main goal. Then we won some national contests such as Corporate PlayStation, amongst others. But the most important achievement for us is the entry in GameBCN, the best video game incubation program in Spain, and Global Top Round, a worldwide contest in which we entered the top 10 amongst 400 other games. They are our business partners to help us find a publisher. Barrel Studios is a stable and growing company in our 7 years of life. We have developed 12 different video games, and Lethal Honor Essence is our first intellectual property. The team is composed of 8 experienced and motivated professionals who have worked in our video games before, all together. The business model for the game is straightforward. We will publish the full game with 6 different main characters, biomes, and all related secondary content. Then, after releasing the game, we can develop a DLC with 2 more core agents and their respective biomes, finishing the story. This is our roadmap. In 17 months, we can deliver the full game, lasting for more than 15 hours of main gameplay, and 6 months later, if needed, the DLC with much more content. The cost to date has been $350,000. We need $500,000 to finish the main game. We can discuss the DLC production and development if the publisher wants it. Based on the experts of Global Top Round, we estimate the game's sales in around 300,000 copies, with a total gross revenue of $5 million. Thanks for listening to our lifelong dream made true. Prepare to discover the truth. Welcome to Lethal Honor.
Wow, your game looks extraordinary. I love the art. And I love your success since the beginning of the project. Hey, panel experts, any questions for this team?
Thank you guys for the pitch. I really like your comic book style vibe and the value proposition that you have on the table with this game. But what I'm wondering is why did you guys go for having this dual game mode? One that is more scripted and more focused on a narrative, and one that is more a pure roguelike gameplay. I ask this because obviously the risk in doing so is that in not having a single focus, you may fail to deliver in both ends. Maybe you fail short in the narrative game mode, and maybe you don't deliver either for the roguelike lovers. Why not focus in one awesome experience, and kind of how do you expect players to experience both game modes?
Thanks. Actually, we think all players will enjoy both types of runs. Those who are more inclined toward an adventure game with more guided gameplay will prefer the score agent runs, while those that are just here for playing an action roguelike will favor the lost agent runs and the free will. Anyways, the differences between the two types of runs, gameplay-wise, are minimal. It's just the focus on the agent as an individual through comics, dialogues, and cutscenes that makes core agent runs different from the lost agent. But the rest of the game is just the same.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. I think that the idea that every run is a new comic book series sounds quite interesting. In first place, have you think in the possibility to release the game in early access? In this case, for Hades, it works very well, this formula. Do you think that this would fit with your game? And also, I'm interested to know how you measured the estimated sales that you have presented. And also, although your game is not announced for Xbox, have you think in the possibility to launch it in services like Xbox Game Pass? I think it would fit a lot with your kind of game.
Yes, in case we self-publish the game, that's the idea. An early access release of Lethal Honor Essence. We have designed the game and the narrative to be divided into volumes, just as comic books. We have 6 zones with 6 different core agents, so each new one will be a new issue of the comic. It is a new content patch for the early access. That will add several hours to the gameplay with new content, weapons, missions, etc. As for the sales forecast, we base the number on the feedback provided by our business partner, Global Top Round, which has been helping dozens of games and has tons of experience in this regard. We plan to release the game on PC, Switch, and even PlayStation or Xbox. The platforms and the selling method will depend on our publisher and their needs.
Thanks.
Great, thanks Carlos. Really interesting project with nice aesthetics and cross-media approach. And precisely thinking on that, are you planning on working on a transmedia project? Because you have a strong focus on narrative and also on this comic universe you are creating. I think that would be really interesting. And in close connection to that, how about applying or presenting to Narrascope or that kind of festivals that goes outside the traditional games circuit?
Yes, that's right. Lethal Honor is not just a game. It's a transmedia universe with 23 years of life and hundreds of stories to tell. We have a thrilling universe to share. A video game is a perfect suit for some of those stories, but we can write books, comics, even TV shows or movies. We will expand this universe with more media and try to introduce it to all relevant conferences.
Thanks.
Thank you, experts. Okay, now, first of all, congratulations, teams, for the great presentations. You did amazing, and I can see that everybody here loves the games that you're developing. Thank you, experts, for your contributions. I'm sure that they have been very useful for the teams and for the audience. If there's anyone here that wants to add anything, it's your time. Remember, you can use the chat to ask anything you want to know. And Oscar, do you want to add anything?
Yes, Gina. I just wanted to tell that the GameBCN 7 applications are already open. So what are you waiting for? Just after the demo day, visit our website and just apply. And I hope to see you here next year.
Well, it looks like the show is over, but we still have one last surprise. If you want to try any game presented here today, you can do it right now. Just go to GameBCN website and download the demos for free. Also, you can share your thoughts on Twitter with the hashtag GameBCNDemoDay. I will be reading some of your thoughts about gameplay, art, and mechanics. Your feedback is very important. You should become our Panel of Experts 2.0 version. It's been great to share this afternoon with you, and I hope to see you soon. Please, stay safe and keep playing video games.